gonna plant some okra. So, got my drip irrigation line in, and I'm gonna put down today some of these okra seeds. What's going on with these is it says 12 to 14 days to germinate, depth 3/4 of an inch, so pretty shallow, spacing 3 feet. So I'm gonna have to get a little creative here. And then days to harvest, 58. So we should be looking like some midsummer okra yield, if this really does turn out to be good. It is still a little cool, but I'm hoping that by putting it down after this rain that we got, the coolness, that as temperatures start to rise, it'll encourage the okra to grow too. Last year we got some pretty good okra going. I put it in not such a sunny spot, but this year I'm gonna put it in my 2 sunniest beds. This bed right here behind you has goji berry and then potatoes. I'm gonna put in okra, and you can even see there's like a little cabbage growing up from last year, and another little cabbage over there. Just doing their thing. I didn't put them there. And then over in the next bed to my left is gonna be some okra, as well as yesterday I put down some carrot seeds, tiny, tiny seeds, those carrot seeds, and then potatoes beyond that. So this is really exciting, because this is one of the beds that I put some of this in, the biochar. Boink. It is not topsoil, it's not compost. It's a mix of super high heat dehydrated wood and mycorrhiza and other stuff in there that are going to help complexify the soil. So here we go. Look at those. Can you even see it? My hand is like shining white. But they're beautiful little seeds, and they're pretty round. They got little dimples on them. They're kind of a algae green, dark blue green. Very, very pretty. So I'm gonna work my way backward so that you can actually see what I'm doing here. Actually, I kind of want to remove that one. So what I'm doing here is basically I'm just taking my finger and going boink into the soil. And if there's pine straw in the way or something, I'll scoot it out. And then dropping that seed in and covering it right back up. About an inch over, I'm doing a second seed. And then what we'll do is later in the season, when they look like they're kind of growing, I will thin these out, just like we did with the peas. And we'll pull out the ones that maybe don't necessarily look like they're doing so hot. So there's an interesting thing about this, and I was telling my pops last year when we were planting seeds. My name, Tedder, is a trade name, and I didn't know this, but I didn't grow up knowing a lot of other Tedders. And one day I was reading an H.G. Wells book. This is the guy that wrote War of the Worlds and The Invisible Man and all sorts of others, First Men in the Moon. But anyway, H.G. Wells is a sci-fi writer, and in one of his books, I think it was The Food of the Gods and How It Came to Earth, some lawyers show up from such and such, Tedder and such. Now I was reading it on my Kindle at the time. And the cool thing about the Kindle, when I had one, was that if you saw some word that you didn't know what it was, you could click over, highlight the word, and it would give you a definition. And so I thought, cool, well, I'll look up Tedder. And I did just that. And it said to Ted, which is a verb, and that means to throw about, like straw or seed. And growing up with my dad, we were Tedders, and then we would go to people's houses and do some landscaping for them. I would throw about pine straw, put straw down. We also use wheat straw. So when I am putting seeds in the ground or sprinkling straw, I am a tedder. I suppose it's kind of like the plower, or I don't know what you'd call them, would go out, the plowers would go out and plow the fields, and then the tedders would follow them with sacks of seed and straw. So, kind of interesting that now I love doing this so much. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe it's in my DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid. If that's not right, go ahead, correct me in the comments. Just kidding. Don't waste your time in the comments, folks. You could be tedding. Now, I'm not doing, it says here to do them every 3 feet, and I am just a little shy of that. I'm probably doing every 2 or 2.5, but we'll see what that means. I don't always adhere strictly to what these packages say, and maybe to my own demise, or my plant's demise, or the plant's demise. So you can see all it takes is just a little dig in with your thumb, just wiggle it in, and you get a little pocket, you drop the seed in, and you fill it back with a little bit of that stuff. And like I said, I'm doing 2 seeds next to each other, about an inch away from each other. And now I'm gonna go all the way back here, and I'm gonna do one sort of back in the very back like this, because I'm hoping that with this being the basically the sunniest spot in the garden, I'm hoping that we can get some real tall growth over here, and that can spell good healthy okra plants that will yield some tasty okra. Not everybody likes okra. Okra is an African food that came over from Africa, and what makes okra so interesting to me is that it has mucilage, which is, or you could call it mucilaginous liquid, and that is the sort of stuff that kind of reminds some people of snot or other saliva, stuff like that. And so some people don't really enjoy it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna put in, just for the fun of it, I'm just gonna put in some randos here and not get too fancy with them, and just kind of pitch them in and see what happens. This is the cool thing. One of the many things I like about gardening is that part of it is like mastery and technique and paying attention to the instructions. And then like there's a part of it that's kind of like, hey, just do what you do and see what you get, you know? I mean, most of the people that we might think of as having mastered gardening, master gardeners, you know what they say, that's just someone who started before you. Also, it's just, once you get going, the rhythm of tedding is so much fun. So I kind of, I did some in neat spacing next to each other, and I just did some that I don't even know if they're gonna pop up, where they're gonna pop up, but I'm hoping that what we see is a really good, healthy yield of okra sometime later in the season. Get some.